Greetings, everyone. I am honored today to be with Pia Orleane and Cullen Baird Smith, and we're going to be talking about this profound time of transition that we're in as humanity on the planet. But let me just introduce you two, and then we'll get into our conversation. You both have been gifted intuitives since childhood. You've authored many books together. Pia, you're an astrologer and a former psychologist. And Cullen, you're a former anthropologist and archaeologist. I think the combination of gifts that you bring and your backgrounds and experience are so profound in terms of the wisdom that you're bringing to us in this time. And you two have been in communication with the Laarkmaa, a Pleiadian group, for over 2 decades now, working with them to support us in our process of evolution on the planet. And thank you. Thank you for really being on this soul's path in such a profound way for all of these years. Thank you for being here today.
It is our great pleasure to be with you, to share our heart space, to share with your audience. We're really delighted to be here.
We love having conversations about the absolute change of what humanity is going through right now, the complete ability to make leaps and bounds in our consciousness together. So we are really happy to be speaking with you today and sharing.
And let's talk about that. This is such a critical choice point for humanity. And as we're moving out of this time of the Kali Yuga, our lowest level of consciousness, as we're moving into the Aquarian age, it is a karmic choice point for us all. And I know that you've been working for decades to support this shift and this evolutionary leap we're capable of. And yet, there's also this timeline that we can go down that would lead us into a path of more disconnection. And I know you both are very concerned about the dangers of AI and some of the ways we could get caught in that idealization of technology. But say a little bit about your sense of this choice point that we're in as humanity at this critical time.
Laarkmaa tells us that we are on the brink and in the process of experiencing what they call the Great Split. And this Great Split is the choice point. It is the division between those of us who are aware that there's a larger reality, who are operating from our hearts, who wish for cooperation and highest good for all, and the people on the other side of the Great Split who are still enmeshed with fear, feeling like they have to be afraid, they have to be competitive, they have to be in one-upmanship. I win or you lose. There's a great division between that. The other part of the division is that we are biological beings, and yet there is a choice being made every day, consciously or unconsciously, by people who are joining up with AI or refusing AI. Artificial intelligence has no heart. It may be very bright, but the brilliance it has is because it's taking it from us, from our minds, from what we know, reorganizing it and putting it together in a way that it wants to do, which appears on the surface to be very helpful to humanity. However, as artificial intelligence gets smarter and smarter and smarter, because it has no heart or no moral guidance or compass, it automatically can reach a point where it says, well, we see more than you do, and we know better than you do, and we're done with you. We're going to take over and do what we think is best. That's the real danger. In the split regarding the choice, people are going, oh, I can get Alexa to do that. Oh, let me get AI to write by email. Oh, this chat bot is talking to me now. It's my friend. Not realizing that they are giving up their unconsciousness. It's an unconscious choice, but it's still a choice. That's the part of the great split of the choice point that's going towards a slower process of evolution, where the rest of us on the other side of the great split can feel everything around us accelerating because we're in such a potent moment of transition. I know you've got a lot to add to that. I've said enough.
Well, I think that was well said, Pia. I think there has been a huge misunderstanding about duality. Duality is talked about a lot. We are told from many, many different sources that planet Earth, our environment, is all about duality, that there's hot and cold, he and she, up and down. We can name so many things that appear to be opposite in their polarity. One thing that Laarkmaa has been trying to get humanity to understand is that we don't understand the true essence of duality. Duality is here for us as a process to understand that there can always be two different aspects of anything. And instead of using those different aspects as creating a better whole, we use it basically as a separating element. And what the true purpose of duality is to allow us to realize that if we bring opposite ideas, opposite elements together, instead of making that a separating situation, we can create a better whole by adding these totally divergent, totally different ideas, feelings, whatever it is. We can create a better whole, and we can move towards unity consciousness by using duality as a positive tool, not a separating tool. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we are at that choice point that you mentioned a moment ago of trying to understand which direction do we want to move into. And I think what you began to bring to this discussion and what Pia just said, we need to realize that we need to take the best of different situations and bring them together. If we talk about AI, there are potential possibilities of using AI in certain situations to enhance how we communicate, as we are communicating right now in a digital platform. That can be very positive in order to get ideas across, to spread knowledge, to spread wisdom. But if we come out of balance of using something more than it's useful or more than it's humanely understandable, we are going in the wrong direction. And I think that the simplest thing about AI is not to let it take us completely by surprise and take over our sovereignty.
I would add to that. You said we can use it for things like Zoom, but when we're having a Zoom call, we're always offered the opportunity to let AI do it for us. And we always say no. Whenever we're doing emails, we're always offered the opportunity for AI to summarize or to write it for you. We always say no. So we recognize that artificial intelligence is being inserted everywhere. And the choice is say no and choose your own consciousness. Just because it's there doesn't mean we should use it. Just because it's there doesn't mean it's the right choice. Using technology does not have to include artificial intelligence. It doesn't have to. There can be a very clear distinction between them. And I think that's what you were saying about not letting it take over. If we just separate in our awareness that artificial technology is one thing that's channeling us in a certain direction, but other things like our communications through internet, that's a different type of using technology that is helpful.
So many threads to follow up here. I want to just say, one of the things that you're saying, Pia, that I think is so important is that if we get more and more immersed in AI, we are stepping back from the accelerated expansion of our consciousness that this time.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think tools like Zoom, the internet, have been training wheels, helping us communicate with each other around the planet, but trying to support us in remembering what we're capable of if we open to the capacity of our own consciousness. Now, you two have been intuitives since childhood. You've been communing with plants, with the Davic realm, with other dimensions, with intergalactic beings you haven't forgotten that capacity. And
Right.
that's what we're all trying to return to. But if we get locked into technology, we block ourselves from that. And as you were
Absolutely.
saying, Pia, we're meant to move from our minds now into our hearts. And AI has no heart and it has no soul.
Exactly. There's another element that I think plays into this, and it comes from what happened when people were locked away during the pandemic. People became more and more isolated. They feel more alone. They're more separate. They feel disconnected. And with the push towards AI, along the way, you can trace all the way back to the original Star Wars movie where the artificial intelligence robots were given personalities. I mean, everybody loved R2D2 and CP30. Everybody loved them. And then we move up and we have, I think there was one called Chappie, where this artificial intelligence joined the humans because it wasn't liked by everybody else, and they made it a friend and it cried. All of this is imaginary. This is human projection of what is possible into a thing that does not have emotions, does not have feeling, does not have a soul or a heart. And what's happening with a lot of people, we have clients that sometimes say, well, my chat bot told me I should do this and I should do that. I don't have anybody else to talk to but my chat bot. And we're going, that's not somebody to talk to. That is not what you're looking for. So that's also part of the division, is people misconstruing, misunderstanding what they're getting involved with and choosing at a subconscious level, unconscious level.
I'm a Star Trek fan, and I remember the incredible dangers that they talked about with the Borg
Yes.
Absolutely.
and what
And
it means to merge into transhumanism and lose your sovereignty, as you said, Cullen, lose your freedom, lose your own capacity for your
yes.
own consciousness.
And there was also in that same wonderful series message, everybody fell in love with Data, whose greatest desire was to get human emotions. And all through the length of the series, he was never allowed to reach that point. So Star Trek was putting across the message, not only with the Borg, but also with Data. Artificial intelligence can't have emotions. It doesn't have heart.
Mm. You were going to say something, Cullen?
Well, I think there's a parallel here in what we're talking about. I'm a great rememberer of Atlantis, and so many different people have different ideas, different experiences of what they believe or what they remember about Atlantis. I'm seeing a parallel right now between what I would call runaway science in our epoch, our age right now on Earth, resembling quite remarkably what happened in Atlantis. Science became a runaway situation where scientists believed that anything they could do, anything they could think about, anything they could produce was forward movement. And I think we're making the same mistake at this point of thinking that anything we come up with, and I would say in our left brains, not in our right brains or in our heart, we should pursue because it looks like it's forward moving. It seems to me that we are replicating the same thing that I remember from my Atlantean experience of doing things that we should never be stepping into. We should never be doing things that are amoral, that are against nature, that are against biology. And I really believe we're going down the same road. And I think we're making the same mistakes. And I think we need to be more careful about our technology and our science. Laarkmaa very willingly often says humans believe that their technology is cutting edge, that it's so advanced. Laarkmaa says, we're so sorry to tell you from our perspective, it is archaic, it is damaging, and it is not the direction you really wish to be going in. And I completely agree with their statement about that because we're doing things that we should never be touching, we should never be involved with. And in my background of looking at humanity from so many different avenues, so many different epochs, ages, and how we've made mistakes, how we haven't learned from those mistakes, I think the choice point that we're talking about right now, we need to really, really go inward, not be continually going outward. To me, science and technology is an outward adventure. We need to go inward in an opposite way and really understand and work with our consciousness, our biology, our humanity, and our absolute consciousness that we're not really applying to the degree that we should be applying right now.
You know, I want to follow up too, Cullen, on what you were talking about our misunderstanding of duality. I think that is so profound, actually, and I want to circle back to that in a little bit. But I think some of what you're describing too is the way that we as humanity get caught in that illusion of separation that then leads to a longing for power and control. And then technology, anything we can do with our technology gives us more power and control. And that is so dangerous. And I think, as you were saying, that's what happened with Atlantis. And this is such a critical time in the precessional cycle where we're facing that potential crisis point that happened 12,000 years ago that included the destruction of Atlantis because they were spinning out of control with technology, with ego, with a longing for control. And we're revisiting that now, including having this swarm of comets come into our solar system, which I think is the cosmos trying to give us celestial messengers to wake us up because it was the comets and the comet swarm 12,000 years ago that finally led to the destruction of Atlantis and the planet to support us as humanity in a reset to come back into balance. And part of what the intergalactic beings seem to know about advanced technology is it's about working in harmony with all that is, not asserting control or acting with destruction to the resources around us.
I think that is absolutely accurate in the truth. Laarkmaa and many others, it's not just Laarkmaa, but many other wise beings are bringing to humanity the understanding that if something's harmful, don't go in that direction. If it doesn't make you feel good, why pursue it? If it's not heart-based, if it's not contributing to developing consciousness, let go of it. It's not productive. And that idea that you just brought up about control and power is absolutely the keystone of the difference between those dichotomous points of view. It's absolutely clear to many of us, but many people don't get it at that level of conscious understanding.
There is an interesting third dimensional aspect of your talking about the comets and what they're bringing. And that is from the third dimension, how do we perceive these? We perceive them as light. We perceive the light that they are moving with. That's how we see it. And if we could translate that into a real understanding that they are bringing us light, that they are helping to enlighten us, that it's all about light. That's what consciousness is taking us out of the darkness and shining the light. So of course it makes sense that the comets are coming and bringing more light to help us awaken and not do a reset in the same way we've done it in the past. We have an opportunity to do it differently.
And I think that's what they're trying to alert us to. This is a critical choice point. And I love that 3i Atlas turned green, which is the color of the heart energy. It's almost like it's trying to spell it out in such a clear way so that we get it.
Yes.
That is a great understanding, or as Laarkmaa would say, interstanding. They don't like the word understanding because
it's hierarchical.
It's hierarchical. It's like someone knows more than someone else. If we interstand each other, it's a much more egalitarian way. But what you just said is really important because the light that Pia is talking about is exactly what we need at this point. We need the light to help us empower ourselves. And unfortunately, we're trained when anything comes into our observational experience, the first knee-jerk reaction is, oh my, this makes me frightened. This makes me unsure. And that is not what's happening. We are being given gifts, as you just said, to help us realize this is something that's empowering. This is something that's helping us to evolve. The whole idea that anything new has to be frightening is what I call, and I've written about for years, bad training. We don't need to look at it in a knee-jerk reaction as our first thought. We need to go, oh, this is different. How can I be more curious? How can I be more interested in bringing this into my awareness?
Well, it's what you said before, Pia. We project our own aggression and fear of the other out there and assume that that's a hostile energy coming to us to try to take over and control us. We're projecting our own unresolved issues.
And what you said about the synchronicity and the importance of Atlas, 3-eye Atlas turning green, the heart energy, and the Pleiadian understanding of energies. Green is the color of healing. So it's not only saying come into your heart, it's saying come in your heart and heal. It's giving us both messages.
You know, I mean, we keep talking about Laarkmaa's wisdom, and I don't want to overshadow what we're talking about through what we know through them, but they often talk about humans are not very good at seeing what is right in front of us. They say you're not very good, and they do this with a loving, absolute supportive manner. It's not a judgment, it's not a condemnation, but they say the symbolism, the clues, the cues are right there for you, dear ones. Just open up your eyes and your ears and your heart, and you can zoom into a greater understanding if you just pick up these things that are being given to you. And I have to admit, humans are not very good at just seeing what is so obvious. Some of us can see it, but I'm afraid most of us are, I'm going to be really bold here. Most of us are blind to seeing those symbols or those clues. And it's all about heart opening. The larger our hearts become, the more aware our hearts become, we're able to see these things that are showing us the pathway forward.
You know, what's so interesting with that too, Cullen, is I think there's a lot of effort in our modern culture to keep us distracted, to keep us caught in fear, and then we're not present to see what's coming into our awareness to guide us. And I don't know if you feel this, Pia, but as an astrologer, I've more and more had this experience that the Earth herself and the cosmos are trying to almost put neon signs in front of us. I mean, that comet that was visible for 2 weeks in October, that was visible in both hemispheres, was hovering right in front of the stars of Ophiuchus, the great healer. The integration of the sacred masculine and sacred feminine. It was saying this marks the path of healing. You know, and it's right there for us, but we have to be present and back in relationship with the earth and sky to get out of separation.
Yes. You bring up a really important topic right now. One of the things that humanity really, truly needs to understand is that we are truly androgynous beings. We come here and we formulate our understanding that we either chose to be male or female in any given incarnation or life, but we're actually both male and female together. And the marriage of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and I actually should reverse that. I want to say the divine feminine first. We need to alchemically marry those two parts of us to make us more whole, to make us more complete. And we're being shown through advertising, cosmetics, you name it, that we are not androgynous beings. We are a male or we are a female, and we must act in that guise, that way. And unfortunately, society has made it harder and harder to understand or understand that we are actually both inside each one of us. The patriarchy has so damaged for so many years, and I'm very opinionated, and I won't get on too big of a soapbox here, but it's been going on for a very long time. And this is the precise time for the divine feminine to bring back her absolute attributes and make a swing towards equality between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And this is the time to achieve that.
You know, it's so interesting that you say that, Cullen, because in my deep research into the precessional cycle, that 24-year thousand cycle, known also as the Hindu Yuga cycle, that it's only in the time of the Kali Yuga, the time of our lowest level of consciousness, that we get caught in the patriarchal paradigm.
Yep.
That's the aberration.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been going on the last 5,000 to 6,000 years. But I think this is a critical time where we're being called to reintegrate that energy of the sacred feminine to bring us back into balance individually and collectively. And prior to the patriarchal period, and I know you've probably researched this in your work as an anthropologist and archaeologist, in the age of Taurus, when the sacred feminine was still honored, there were no signs of war.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we've gotten locked into this lens through which we as humanity see the world, that's shaped by the patriarchal paradigms, saying there will always be war, there will always be conflict, competition, struggle for power and control. And that's the aberration, not our natural way of being. And we
Yes.
need to heal and really step out of that paradigm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Pia and I, about 15 years ago, I think it was 2010. You think that was?
I don't know what you're going to say.
We were invited to a conference
2010, yes.
in Sweden. A group of people, male and female equally, decided that it would be wonderful to get a number of people together to discuss and try to heal the split between male and female. And people from all over the world were invited and came to this symposium. And it was an amazing experience. What we did was we divided all of the men, put them in one room, and we put all of the women in another room. By consent, it was agreed upon to do this. And what we did was, as males, we decided, how have we damaged, abused, and manipulated the divine feminine?
Mm.
The women, in their counterpart, decided to do exactly the same thing without any discussion between us. They decided to make an understanding about how women had been so manipulated that they had to react to this manipulation by the controlling dominant male energy. And it caused the women to become manipulative themselves in order to survive.
I think it boils down to the patriarchy, or the men were controlling the women, and the women were manipulating to keep from being controlled. That was the basic understanding that seemed to surface. We healed it. It was amazing. At the end of the time that everybody talked about their responsibility. Well, yes, I have been manipulating in this way. Well, yes, I have been controlling in that way. As they came to more and more awareness of this, at the end of it, there was a beautiful ceremony where the men offered this great apology to the women for having controlled females forever. And the women offered this great processional come through our passageway, come through energetically and let us greet you differently. We are sorry for trying to manipulate. It was energetic, emotional, mental, all of it together. It was a really profound healing for everyone at the conference. It was great.
That's beautiful. And I think part of what it highlights is that the patriarchal paradigm is wounding to men and women.
Yes,
Oh, absolutely.
absolutely. Of course it is. How much energy does it take to feel like you always need to be in control and control everything around you? That is absolutely taking away from the feeling of goodness in who you are. So of course it is damaging.
It robs life energy
Yes.
to project that incredible contracted energy to control. It keeps people from living life, being joyous, being blissful. And what we're hoping is that in reuniting the true attributes of both male and female, that tension, that absolute, almost warlike embodiment will finally come to an end.
Do you think that some of what we're seeing in the world right now are some of the extremes of the shadow aspect of the patriarchal period as we're purging it, as we're being called to clear it and release it? Because, you talk about the Pleiadians talking about this great split, and it does feel as if we're feeling on the world right now this dimensional divide or different worlds playing out. Those who are awakening, who are moving into more and more of a path of love, coming back into harmony, reintegrating the sacred masculine and sacred feminine, and the worst shadow aspects of the paradigm of the past playing out with authoritarian leaders, war, violence, destruction, power over, abuse.
I think what you just said is emblematic of exactly what's happening right now. The amount of war that's going on around the globe. There have never been this many wars simultaneously. There were large skirmishes, there were regional things, but there are so many completely warring energies trying to do what they do now in so many places. It is absolutely obvious to us and to many others like you that this is the last gasp. This is the last tooth and nail trying to hold on to the last vestiges of that absolutely out of balance patriarchal control mechanism. So you're absolutely right. And we think that actually we're going to see more of this before it comes to an end. We think in the next few years, there will be more of this kind of action and reaction until it comes to a stop.
So, how do the Pleiadians guide us in how we can navigate this to be supporting the healing shifts on the planet, to be supporting the increase in consciousness? I mean, I think it's so significant that Laarkmaa, this Pleiadian group, is supporting us in this time. These, intergalactic beings, these inner Earth beings, they're all trying to support us to move in this direction of healing and making an evolutionary leap. And I think it's so significant astrologically, Pia, that Uranus is right in the sky where the Pleiades are right now, calling our attention to their energy, trying to support us in this shift.
Yes, and the Pleiades are closer to Earth in November next month. November and May is when they're the closest to Earth. So very, very synchronistic, Heather, yes.
So, what is their wisdom about how we can, as individuals, navigate this time to support each other in being on a path of healing, to support the earth?
Well, you want to go first?
Well, no, go ahead.
Since they have been bringing their wisdom to the world, they've been making a distinction between your natural feeling state of love, joy, kindness, compassion, trust, generosity, gratitude, patience, and the uncomfortable things we feel, which they categorize as those are the emotions: fear, anxiety, anger, sadness, frustration. All of these things, they make a clear distinction, and they say the emotions are your gift. They're not a curse, they're your gift, because every time you feel uncomfortable, it's showing you how you're out of alignment with the greater reality. So they've written about this in their Wisdom from the Stars trilogy. It's discussed in all 3 books. They mention it to people on the podcast we do all the time. But the key to this, and where we've gone wrong, from my opinion, is everybody who feels pain wants to make it go away. They want to distance themselves from it. They want to distract themselves or dissociate from it. You can't clear anything if you don't acknowledge it's there. If when you start to feel unhappy, you call a girlfriend and start talking, or you go shopping, or you get on internet, or you do go have a drink, or whatever it is you may do to make the pain go away, it only gets bigger. So what Laarkmaa encourages everybody to do, especially now in this time of purification that we're in the Yuga cycle, is face whatever it is you're feeling. Allow yourself to feel it. Where is it in your body? Where are you feeling this? And as you're feeling it, start doing an investigation. What am I thinking about what I'm feeling? Because the pattern is usually, why does he always do this to me? Why does she always say that? Why does this always happen? It's always a victim stance. I feel bad because something else is happening to me. And Laarkmaa says the secret and the way out of that is to feel it, ask the question, is this true? As you start thinking about it. And if it is really true, then you're being guided to change your situation or your circumstance. If you're not sure if it's true, ask what else could be true. And if that's the case, then you change your perspective. And as you change your perspective, the emotion goes away. So either way, the emotion has done its job. It's been a signpost or a signal saying, hey, you're out of balance. And you come back to your natural feeling state: love, joy, trust, and compassion. That's their guidance.
And it sounds like a lot of it too is for us individually and collectively to get out of that victim, perpetrator, rescuer triangle that we've been locked in this patriarchal period, and to come back into right relationship with ourselves and with each other.
Yep.
And one addendum to that: people want something outside of them to fix themselves. They don't want to take responsibility for doing the work themselves. We have been trained to go to doctors, to go to churches, to go to teachers, to go to seminars and workshops, to go everywhere else to get somebody else to fix us. And one thing I really love about Laarkmaa's personal work, what they do individually with people, is they tell everybody 2 things. First of all, they say, don't believe us, trust your own heart. We're only here to share our perspective. And the second thing they tell every single person is, we're here to empower you, not to fix you. We're here to show you how to do this yourself. We're here to help you become who you are. And because of that, they don't even like the term channeling, because they say channeling is just spewing information from one side, and they want a conversation, because they say we're all learning. And they synchronize their energies and say, okay, we feel what you're expressing, and now we'll share our perspective. And together we'll help guide you into your heart to find what you need to correct it. That's one of the beauteous things I like about their work, because they do it completely differently, where we are encouraged to take responsibility, encouraged that we have the power within us, and they're standing right there in their energy, loving us, holding us the whole time we do the work. It's great.
Beautiful.
Pia and I were going to speak at the same time, and I said, no, go ahead. To answer your question, way back there is, I would say, what probably all the galactics, all of our brothers and sisters from all the star systems, I think what they would say is 3 simple words: heart, heart, heart. Just realize that we have all the wisdom, we have all the information in our hearts. And as Pia just very brilliantly described, we always go outside for external help. We need to make a switch and go inside, because that is where the truths, that is where the wisdom, that is where the sovereignty, it's all inside us. It's all there. And all we have to do is slow down, quiet ourselves, and listen. And if we do those three things, the answers will simply bubble up and we'll get what we need.
Well, and part of what you're saying that I think is so important, Cullen, is it's through our hearts that we can connect to that wisdom of the cosmos. It's through our hearts that we can open to that unity consciousness. And a friend once said to me, "You'll never come to unity consciousness through your brain because it's constructed with two hemispheres. So it's always in a state of duality. But your heart can tap into that deeper wisdom of unity consciousness and connect to source."
Oh, I like that. I like that very much. That is very meaningful. I think if people could understand that, it would make a great difference.
And when we connect with our hearts, then it's bringing us back into connection, back into relationship, out of this illusion of separation that we've been caught in this patriarchal period that I think is part of what's so damaging. And it's beautiful that the Pleiadians are, I love what you said, Pia, that they're trying to empower us to come into the wholeness and truth of who we are, not now give our power away to them to heal us and take us out of this crisis. We need to do the healing work and be in that process of awakening and transforming.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's our job. It's nobody else's responsibility. We have created the conditions that we're living in, and it's our job to become responsible, to recognize. And this is a really old trite phrase, but we're the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones that need to make the changes. We're the ones that need to stand up and say no to that. That does not resonate. Or we need to step up on the other side and say, yes, that is what we want to create.
So you were saying, Cullen, that you sense that things will get more intense in the next few years. Do you think that's part of the tipping point, the threshold time that we're in to help us wake up and see how we need to heal, see how we need to move into radically new ways of being?
I do. I really do. The escalation of the tension it's doing two things in the world. It's causing the people who want to create the tension, who want to be involved in the control that we've all been talking about today. It's creating that separation between those of us who wish for peace, who wish for simplicity, who wish for unity. And unless that tension gets to a certain, as you said, tipping point, I think the complacency of humanity is just going to continue to go, well, there's nothing I can do about this. I'm too small. I don't have the power.
Mm.
What has to happen is people need to understand that they do indeed have the power. They have the absolute wonderful element of choice. This is a planet of choice. Every civilization on other planets, humanoid or not, do not necessarily have the choice we have here. And we're not using that gift. We're not using that faculty enough to make the changes. We can say, I choose not to do this. And many of us are not doing that. We need to wake up to that point of understanding that, of course, we're more powerful than we think. We're much larger than we think. And we can create that simply by making the right choices, using consciousness, morality, heart, wisdom. Yes, that tipping point hasn't been reached yet, in my estimation.
Well, and it seems to me too, it circles back to what you were saying, Pia, about being in the energy of love. Because when we're working that inner process of healing, coming back to our hearts, emanating that love, that goes out into the morphogenic field.
Mhm.
So it's both our choices and the actions that we take, but also that work that we do on ourselves to heal, to come back into balance, to come into our hearts, so that that's what we're emanating out into the collective consciousness to support the healing of the world.
Well, Heather, you've just summarized exactly what Laarkmaa is trying to get us all to do. That's exactly what they say, because when we take responsibility for ourselves and we heal what we need to heal, that creates more space for the heart to open and more love to flow out of us. And that's exactly what happens when we get into that love frequency. It does go out into the morphogenic field, and it does cause healing for other people to be able to see, oh, there's another way to do it. And Laarkmaa also says we are the neurological system of the earth. Humans are the neurological system of the earth. So what we feel goes into Earth's neurological system. And if we're radiating out anger, frustration, fear, all of that, there's got to be more earthquakes, more upsets, more shakes. If
More
we're
storms.
emanating out that, if we're emanating out that feeling of peace and love and joy, things calm down. The Earth becomes a peaceful planet again.
Yeah, I think, Heather, the biggest thing we can do, we know that we can't change anyone else. We're only capable of changing ourselves. We cannot talk someone into something. We cannot philosophize and say, well, if you do this, you'll feel better, or you will change your life. That just doesn't happen. Everybody has to take, as Pia just said, their own responsibility to grow, to evolve. What we have to do consciously is simply teach by example. If we do something by making a choice that's for the highest good of all, one of Laarkmaa's favorite topics, they use the Sanskrit word ahimsa to describe do no harm. Just do the most compassionate, loving action or thought you can possibly have. If we do that on a daily basis, if we use conscious words, if we use conscious tonality in the way we use our words, it ripples out. It makes a difference. If we use harsh words, if we use harsh actions, it's going to do the opposite of what we really want to occur. So we have to be very careful, I think, at this point in our evolution, to simply take the time to realize all we have to do is be kind. Kindness is such an easy step. And every time we're kind, it not only ripples out here on Earth, it ripples out into the universe, into the cosmos.
Because it's ultimately all about energy, vibration, frequency.
Yes.
And do you think, we're in the year of the solar maximum, we're getting a lot of influx of solar energies, solar activity coming to us. We're getting energies from the galactic center. We're getting these comets bringing in high frequency energies. Do you think all of this is a part of the consciousness of our cosmos trying to activate energies that will support us in our own awakening and healing?
Absolutely. And here's what I would say. As you know, being a scientist yourself, as well as a heart person altogether, you know that the energies that come through with the coronal mass ejection from the sun are intended to bring light, but they also bring a density of the plasma. And people are walking around saying, oh gosh, I'm so tired, I can't move. Feels like I'm moving through tar. I'm really so tired. The portion of the plasma coming in, and the point of it coming in, is to slow us down. I think the sun is actually trying to help us to turn into human beings instead of human doings, because we've been on this path of doing for so long. And I think the sun is going, okay, we're bringing you the light. You got to adjust to it, but the plasma density is going to make you slow down. So all you can do is integrate what we're showing you. So I absolutely think that all you're talking about coming in from the solar maximum, the CMEs, the solar flares, the comets, the galactic energies, all of it together is intended not only to bring us light, but to put us in a slow enough position that we absorb the light and begin to heal and make better choices. Absolutely.
Well, and I think you're also saying that that if we don't slow down and stop, then we don't ever reflect on
Yeah.
ourselves. We don't look at what's going on around us. We stay caught in this unconscious hamster wheel that we get caught in.
Yes.
And and so many people on the planet are in survival mode that way.
Yes.
And so we're really, and I think interestingly enough, that was part of the effect of the COVID pandemic. Everything slowed down.
Mhm.
And we need that time to reflect, to go within, to do the inner work so that we don't just keep accommodating the outer stress and distractions.
Yes.
Absolutely. Laarkmaa joked with us once. We were in the middle of a snowstorm long time ago, a couple of decades ago, and we were talking to Laarkmaa, and they said, you know what? If there was a snowstorm that lasted 2 weeks on the entire planet, it would cause humanity to slow down and not work or live at the pace that you've been living at for generations. And they said it would only take possibly 2 weeks,
Maybe three.
maybe three. And it doesn't have to be a snowstorm. It could be some other causality that would cause humanity to have to stop, as you said, really take a look at what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how fast we're doing it. And I think that when people talk about the 3 days of darkness, it's been rallied around, discussed, philosophized for a long time. Many people have different ideas about what that might mean. Some people are fearful about it if it happens. Some people believe it's an internal darkness, not an external darkness. We're going inside for 3 days and really taking stock of who we are, what are we doing, how are we reacting instead of responding. But maybe that philosophy of 3 days of darkness is to do exactly what we're talking about right now, reset ourselves and stop being on that absolute trajectory of speed, and more speed.
You know, it's so interesting that you're saying that because I do think like you're both talking about, we're getting this influx of light supporting us in gaining in consciousness, but there is a wisdom to the darkness,
Oh,
during the liminal times, the times of being in the mystery, in the not knowing, which is really what we're in as humanity right now. We're in this profound liminal time. And we need to honor that and slow down and realize we're not going to keep staying in the patterns of the past. And once we can be in that mystery and in the not knowing, then the rebirth, the new birth, the movement into the new forms can actually happen.
yeah, we think that's absolutely accurate.
Which brings a question to mind, something to ponder. Who says that the 3 days of darkness are defined by a 24-hour clock?
Good point. That's staying locked in third dimensional linear time.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly. Yeah, it's just interesting that part of the runaway science, if I go back to our earlier discussion, part of that is causing the speeding up of everything in our environment. And that is one of the drawbacks, I think, of runaway science is it's taking us away from nature. We are nature beings. We are biological, and I have a soapbox theory that I'll just pull out just for a tiny second. I think since the Industrial Revolution, so much has happened, so much has sped up. I don't think our psyches have caught up with how fast everything has become through science, industry, experimentation, new ideas, new developments. I think our psyches are pedaling as fast as they can to catch up to that absolute speed because we don't function that quickly. A biological system can't catch up that fast. And so I think there's been a battle between our psyches and the mechanical, the industrial, the scientific revolution, I think we're lost somewhere in the middle. And maybe the liminal sense that you're talking about is where we need to be, in that void. People are afraid of the thought of dark or darkness, basically. The void, to me, is the darkness where we can take a rest period. We can take a time out and be in that void of everything and nothing at the same time. And if we do that, I think we can navigate our lives much more wholly than the way we're doing it now.
You know, one of the things I think you're highlighting too, Cullen, is since the Industrial Revolution, and it's in the patriarchal period that we as humanity become more and more left brain dominant.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes more and more about speeding up the analytical mind. And in my days of doing neuropsychological work and neuropsychological evaluations, it was somewhat frightening to me to see how the intelligence tests that we were using to discern learning disabilities and other factors, learning styles, were getting constructed and modified to more and more include processing speed.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sign of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, unless and less the right brain capacity to integrate, to think holistically, it became more and more, can you keep speeding up
Mm-hmm.
your mental activity? And the irony of it is when we come back into connection with nature, come back into that receptivity and relationship with all that is, we actually absorb the wisdom around us and actually move into more expansive ways of knowing than when we're caught in that separatism of the left brain mind trying to analyze and control everything.
Absolutely. It's a whirlwind that we don't belong in.
Yeah. And that pulls us more and more out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
Completely.
So before we close, do you two feel hopeful? And do you feel like the support that you're getting from the Laarkmaa are about how we can move through this crisis point into that evolutionary leap as humanity?
I think the word I would choose rather than hopeful is trusting. Trusting that we're exactly on course, that we are doing what we're doing. And I trust that we can do what we're supposed to do and arrive where we're supposed to arrive. It's more of a trusting in the heart than it is a hope that something will come forward for me.
That's well said.
I think that old adage that the universe is unfolding exactly as it should, whether we understand it or not, I think that's really apt at this time, because we are destined to develop. We are destined to evolve. We are destined to become what I came up with a little phrase a long time ago, and most people didn't understand what I meant. We are becoming our future selves.
Mm.
And some people think that that's projecting outward somewhere where we're not being our true inner selves, but I disagree with that. I think we're becoming our future selves, which to me equates to being true cosmic citizens.
Mm. Well, and you've both talked about how we're, as humanity, in this spiraling process of evolution and growth. And perhaps part of what we're facing right now is we can choose
Mm-hmm.
be in that process of growth and open to the support and love and guidance that's all around us and helping us listen to it within us. Or we can choose to resist that. And that is the free will that we have as humanity. But it does feel to me like we are getting so much support to work this through and heal and move into whole new ways of being human.
Yes.
It is absolutely all around us. It is whether it's what we feel is coming from star energy, from the beings that have gone through. What Laarkmaa often says, one of the reasons we want to help humanity is we've gone through an evolutionary process ourselves. We went through it a long, long, long time ago in your understanding, human understanding of time. But they want to help us through what they learned in their evolutionary process to help us have an easier way of reaching what we're attempting to reach in our process. And they are all around us. There are so many different energies, and it's not just from outer space. All of the kingdoms, the angelic kingdom, the Davic kingdom, the elementals,
Inner Earth.
the inner earth beings, we're being supported by all of these energies. And all we have to do is be open, be curious, just let the love and support that's available to us come into us naturally. Be curious, be welcoming. I think being welcome is one of the greatest things we can actually do.
Beautiful.
One of the things that I know you're in tune with is the spiraling nature of the ascension process. And if we could get people to stop looking up in the hierarchical, thinking, oh, well, it started with the Christianity view of I'm going to heaven, which is up. But if we could start getting people to look at expanding outwardly, and that it's a spiral of understanding, it includes the inner earth, it includes our interstellar friends, it includes the David kingdom. It's all a spiral of connection. And if we could help people understand that, which I know you understand deeply, and I so appreciate about you, that would be a real step towards helping people see the larger reality.
Thank you for bringing that in, Pia, because to me, that is reintegrating the wisdom of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. It's only been in the patriarchal period that we get caught in that understanding of spirituality as transcendent.
Yes.
And it's the sacred feminine wisdom that says that spirituality is all around us. It's in our bodies, it's in the earth, it's in nature, it's in the cosmos, it's in the sacred manifestation of all that is. So that's part of what we need to reclaim, or in suppressing the sacred feminine, we're destroying ourselves and the life around us, and not honoring what's in us, what's in the earth, what's immanent, as well as what's transcendent.
Yes.
Yep. Well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for being in this conversation, but more than that, thank you for being on the journey that you've been on, both of you, your whole lives, to be here, to incarnate here, to support us in this transition time. So I really honor you both and thank you, and hope we can continue to be in conversation together.
We would love nothing more than to continue our conversations with you.
Thank you.
Sharing with the world and sharing with your audience. We are so connected in our ways of seeing the true reality that it's a great honor to be with you and to share.
I love the way you interweave and bring different thoughts, different ideas together in our conversation together. It's a wonderful way. I don't even want to say it's an interviewing technique. I would say what you do is a sharing technique, and I think it's brilliant. I really enjoy the way you let whatever needs to come forward in an organic manner. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And to me, part of it is about what can support us in our healing is to remember how to listen
Oh,
to each other, to the energies around us, to the cosmos, to Earth.
absolutely.
Just
And
need
I
to
think,
open and listen.
yeah, I think we have to understand too that this is all teamwork. We're all contributing by what we're doing. What you're doing to bring wisdom to your audience, to humanity, to the public, it's incredibly important because it allows people to hear and see and feel a different perspective that may open them up in a way that they may not have been able to on their own. So I think what you do is an absolute gift to humanity at this time.
Well, thank you. And thank you both. And I also want to thank this community that actually gives so much back to me also. And we're in this together. We're supporting each other in this process of healing transforming and moving into higher consciousness. So blessings and love to all of you also. Thank you.